Good day, Minecraftians. Purple Mentat here, bringing you some more Crash Landing. So, between episodes, I've been doing a few things. Most notably, I did a little bit of digging. Yeah. I wanted some dust ready for today's episode, so I went and I got some. Most of it is sitting over there in a barrel. The rest, well, it was used for testing purposes as I got ready for this. You know what? I need to move everything that's in here into this chest for reasons that you will see shortly. Except the seeds. Seeds can stay out. And the clay, actually. Seeds and clay. Seeds and clay can go over here into the miscellaneous need to be organized chest. Alright, so what else have I been up to? Well, I've been refining Steve's Factory Manager setup and making certain I actually know what I'm doing, which, you know, it's not always a guarantee. Let me show you what I've done with that. Also, I set up the smeltery to automatically create lots more seared stone whenever I set it up properly to do so. And it's pretty easy for me to start and stop the procedure. Here we go. Oh, nope, you don't belong there. Alright, fantastic. Got everything moved over. And this is all of the stuff that I have from my sieving operations thus far. Now, a note on platinum. So, the only way to get platinum in this pack is to sieve gravel and get broken platinum. But you can't just use your platinum ore. Well, I mean, you can smelt it into one if you want. But, oh, you can smelter that into two. Fine, I was wrong. But what you're really going to want to do, honestly, is you're going to want to break down, most likely with the hammer. Huh. You got a 50% chance at an extra 55-ish% chance at an extra. Plus, with fortune, it goes even higher than that. Whereas with the pulverizer, you have a 40% chance of one extra. So you probably want to break it down with your hammer and then break your sand down further with the hammer again, most likely, so that you can create, here we go, the ore dust, which is what you can use to double it through traditional means, like in the pulverizer, the induction smelter, that sort of thing. However, you can get off that train early and just dump your platinum straight into your high oven or smelter if you want. All right, let's go over what I did with the smeltery. So I had everything set up down here. I've moved that slightly. What we have is a hopper feeding into the controller, the barrel outputting from the casting basin is sitting right on top of that controller. So every bit of seared stone that gets made in the casting basin is pumped back into the smeltery controller. I have some cobblestone in there. And then we've got fluid ducts running all the way up and over there. And to make this happen, I needed to make one more hopper. So 5 more aluminum, no big deal. If I want to create lots and lots of seared stone, I can simply grab this better barrel with the dolly, put a new one there to start generating more cobblestone, and take this upstairs, stuff it on top of this hopper. Then I go back down here, and I flip this switch. And now it's going to produce me a ton of seared cobblestone, which will eventually become a bunch of seared stone. And I believe that the smeltery will eventually cap out and stop melting things. I certainly hope so. Once that happens, I will likely finish converting all of my seared stone into my seared cobblestone into the liquid stuff, and then convert all of the liquid stuff into this smooth seared stone in the casting basin, because the seared cobblestone just looks gaudy, and I would prefer it be prettier. All right. So as promised last time, today's episode is going to mostly focus on Steve's Factory Manager. Oh, that's the other thing. I ran out of room in my hopper for all of the leaves that I was producing, even with an extra portable tank full of water. So now I put a barrel on top of there to hold things. You may notice I'm a big fan of vanilla hoppers. There's a good reason for that. With the item ducts, with the item ducts from thermal expansion, you will occasionally get backstuffing especially if you're attempting to feed into a crucible or even into a hopper of some sort. And backstuffing is going to cause either lag or any significant loss of items depending on how the pack is configured. I would prefer for neither of those things to happen. As such, barrels and hoppers are my go-to when I need kind of passive filling that I don't have to monitor and I don't have to build a loop back into the source. This will never back stuff, and thanks to Professor Mobius's mod Evoc, I believe, Extreme Vanilla Optimization or something like that, the hoppers do not cause the sort of lag that they used to, because they used to be a pretty lagrific device that you did not want to use regularly. All right, let's get going with some Steve's Factory Manager. Let me grab some food so I'm ready for that, because I'm going to need to eat sometime soon. And I'm going to keep a couple of different kinds of food on me. As you can see, the farm has been quite prolific. Also, I got all of that scorched brick converted over. I mean, all of that brick that I got as the quest reward converted over into scorched brick. So, doing well there. All right, Steve's Factory Manager. Let's look at what I've done for optimizations. First off, I combined everything in the pulse group. I believe I showed you that last time. This has not changed at all. Other than that, I have a variables group over here, and then a whole big mess down here, which you'll see briefly. Now, you'll note that some of these have been renamed. If I hold Control, you can see what they were originally. The variables is just a group where I have a handful of variables. Now, all of these variables are pretty simple. I'll explain their use in a little bit. Right now, what's happening after the pulse happens, the dust in is pulling from the better barrel, and the dust to gate is going to a variable. Specifically, hang on, this one, sieve output. And the sieve output variable, if I come in here and show it to you, is connected to all of the block gates. That's the only variable I'll ever need. All of the, well, I mean, that's the only thing I ever need to set up. Anytime I want to change what this is focusing on, I can just change the sieve output. And if I ever have need to hook up something else going into the same thing, it'll be very, very simple to do. For example, say I want to have another output going to the sieve output. Well, I can add that simply by going into that output, choosing target, or choosing inventory, and clicking this V down here to select variables. And then I just click sieve output, and I'm good to go. One important difference from last time. Under items, you need to point at the dust and right click. Specify amount at 1. And under target, or under inventories, you want to click this define multi-selection interaction, run command once per target. That is going to allow the entire thing to actually have all three of these function at the same time, and it won't pull a stack of piece out. Out of water. No problem. Bum, bum, bum. Refilling has gotten very quick, and that's why I have this tank out here, so that I don't have to worry about this thing or getting close to the pyrotheum or anything like that. All right. Now, the valve in is very simple, just grabbing from the rapid item valve, and it is picking up everything. Let me sleep through the night, just so I don't get attacked by a spider. I think that's some sort of Enderman right there. Might be worth hunting him down next time. Things will get loud briefly, but that's okay. And dust excess. This is an output that is targeting the better barrel and is whitelisting dust with no specified amount or damage value. Sieve output, on the other hand, is going to the gold chest for now. However, I do have a sieve. Oh no, I don't have a sieve output chest. Oh yeah. This chest is basically going to be my intermediary stage on everything. So everything's going to go into the gold chest when it gets picked up from the rapid item valve. So now, if I just turn that on, you can see items popping up, disappearing, and they will be appearing in the gold chest. And this entire structure, I'm going to lock away in a group. To do that, create group node, and we're going to name the node Oh, no, not create group mode. Create command group. We are going to name the group Civ. Click Save. And inside of the group, we are going to change you from here to there. And then we're going to do another group node. Set this as an output node. And connect the Civ output from here to here. Now all I need to do is click and drag this into here and hold Shift, and the entire thing disappears inside of it. And if I click in there, everything's where I left it. So now I can get things nice and organized in here. And this is the entire sieving process. So input node through dust in, dust to gate, valve in, dust excess, and sieve output, all of that nice and contained in one little function. Then all I need to do is draw my line from my pulse to my sieve. And now when I turn it on, you can see that it's back to functioning. Fantastic. Next step is to teach this thing how to start converting all of my pulverized ores into ore dust. And I've already set that up for iron, so I can walk you through it here, and then I can show you how to continue building more of these. Now, this is the way I have it set up. I'm almost certain that there's a better way, but I'm not very good with Steve's Factory Manager yet. What I'm going to do first off is I'm going to create another command group, and I'm going to name this, I'm going to name this crafting, and save it. I'm going to click and drag this into the content, hold Shift, poof, there we go. Now I have one input, and this input is dragging from the gold chest. However, I could have this set to sieve input, sieve output. I could have this set to sieve output, and it should function the exact same way. I can turn off gold chest, because the sieve output is at this time defined only as the gold chest. There's no real need to do that at this time. I'm just going to set it to the gold chest for now, just to keep things simple. Target doesn't matter. Items, you want blacklist with nothing defined. That way everything will be picked up. Now it's going to pass all of that along to a crafter. And this crafter, actually there. So now I can move this output over here. There. This crafter is set to pulverized iron ore in these 4 spaces, which creates an iron ore dust. And excess inventories, is set to the gold chest. This means that any excess that is in the input will go to the gold chest. Meaning, if, for example, 5 pulverized iron ore were there, 1 of them would end up back in the gold chest. This output, on the other hand, is set to whitelist iron ore dust. And this is the only way that I know to actually make it craft, is you have to have it whitelisted and the iron ore dust. Now, when you right-click it, you want to make sure you are not specifying amount, or else you will end up with, once there's 1 or more in there, or whatever amount you set or more in there, it will stop crafting entirely. And then, well, I guess I did need this hooked up still, but that's okay. There. And then with the crafter connected to the output, I don't actually have enough iron ore dust at this time. Can I smash you back into... No, I cannot. Okay, hang on. Well, if I run the sieve for a while, we should see the iron ore dust tick up to 8 as more pulverized iron comes in. 2. Just going to let this run for a moment where we can see it. There we go. Alright, I swear this was just working a moment ago. Hang on a moment. This is an odd thing it's only recently started doing. Oh, derp. So I don't have the crafting setup actually connected to the sequence right now. To do so, I'm going to need to add a group node and set the node as an input node. And connect from the input node to the input here. And add this after the sieve. Otherwise, no signal is actually getting to this, and it's never knowing, oh, hey, I need to check to create anything. Now, I'm pretty sure instead of doing this, I could have set up a separate trigger. However, my attempts to test on that have not proved fruitful so far, and I ran out of time to tinker with it. So now, you'll note that there is 6 pulverized iron ore and 7 iron ore dust. I click this on. There's now 2 pulverized iron ore and 8 iron ore dust. This is an extremely fast crafting method. In fact, you see that it already hit up to 9 iron ore dust in the time it took me to get the machine shut off. Yeah, it's that good. Now, to set this up is a little finicky. Let's add another crafter, this time for gold. And the crafter's found right down here, create auto crafter. So we're going to do crafting. We click on there and we're choosing pulverized gold. Oh, you can't actually enter that many letters. So got to be careful with that. Pulverized gold ore is the ex-Nihilo version that we're looking for. If you scroll down, you will find pulverized gold. That's the the thermal expansion version. That is not quite what we are looking for. And as you can see, that becomes gold ore dust. Gold ore dust. Wow. And we're going to set this excess inventory to the sieve output. Crafter will connect to crafter and then crafter to output. There we go. And on the output, we need to add to the whitelist gold ore dust. There's just the one. There we go. Now, you can see that there is currently 19 pulverized gold ore. I turn this on, and by the time I get it off again, I have 4 gold ore dust and 3 pulverized gold ore. I'm going to go through and I'm going to do that for, let me see, what are the other pulverized I have? Silver, tin, aluminum, nickel? That's something I can even create? No, that can only come from nickel ore sand that can only come from nickel ore sand. Okay, so nickel is something that you cannot sieve out of dust. That's a bit of a shame. Anyway, aluminum, tin, silver, lead, and copper still need to be created. So I'm going to go set those up off camera, and I'll be right back to show you the next step of this. Alrighty, got everything set up, and I added in platinum and nickel, just for good measure, because I know I'm going to need those eventually. Let's get this cleaned up slightly and start it running so you can see how quickly I can create all of my dusts. All right, so as you can see, let's look at the silver. Well, actually, you know what? Just watch. Click. Click did nothing. Why did click do nothing? What did I forget here? Hang on. Oh, that's what I forgot here. I just did it twice in a row. So, iron ore, gold ore, and then ore dust. We're going to need a whole bunch more. Now, it has all of the Natura and Tinker's Construct and Metallurgy ore dusts on top. Scroll to the bottom and you'll find the aluminum, nickel, platinum, osmium, which we don't need, lead, silver, tin, copper, gold, iron, zinc. We don't have zinc, or viroxorus. Copper. There we go. Try this again. See all of my pulverized ores. See all of my ore dusts. That's all the time it takes. So now I can happily leave this running, and it'll gather all of the materials from all of these dusts, which it's sieving at a relatively rapid rate. I mean, it's not like massive, but it's ticking through at 3 every few seconds. I'm not unhappy about that. And I'm getting more and more ore dust. However, there's all of this other stuff in here that's going to end up clogging up the inventory. We should do something about that. Well, what we're going to do about that actually is we're going to have a little wall of barrels right here. And we're going to start with 1, 2, 3, 4 on the bottom. And this is how these are going to work. It's actually rather clever how well this works. So I'm going to pick the 4 most plentiful items: salt, Certus quartz dust, stone, and you know, I think it's going to be bone meal in the long run, but it might be gunpowder. So we'll go with gunpowder for now. And we can reorder these later if we want to. We're going to put one of each into all of those, and we're going to get them all locked. And I'm going to refill my camel pack again because problems. The 16 buckets over here, well, 12 at the moment, but I'm going to refill it, I've decided are actually going to be kept as a reserve in case I run out. There we are. Huh, I actually ran out of water in there. That doesn't happen often. But I guess I moved a lot of water around. So this 16 bucket reserve is going to be what I keep around just in case I run completely out of leaves. So I have time to bone meal that tree a bunch and use a ton of Invar shearing a ton of leaves and getting myself back to good on that. Let's take a look at our smeltery while we're at it. Yeah, this is working pretty well. In fact, it's smelting the seared stone faster than it can produce, which I think is kind of amazing. Hang on. Shouldn't have 12 seared stone blocks in there. I guess every now and then it's moving too fast for the cobblestone, or the hopper to put cobblestone in there, and we end up with a little bit more normal seared stone. But that's okay. This being locked stops this seared stone from feeding back in, because that would be a pointless loop. The seared stone will melt into the same amount of liquid seared stone that it took to create. Fantastic. All right, so what's going to happen here? Well, because I like to keep things nice and sorted, we're going to create another group, and we're going to name this group Sorting. See what I did there? We're going to save that. And in variables, you will note I've got a sorting output. This is a white variable. The way sorting output is going to work is we're going to select the proper containers for it. And we know that those are more than one block away from the inventory manager, which makes it a lot easier for us to select in sorting output. All we need to do is pick the barrels that are at least 2 blocks and more away. There we go. 5 containers selected. That's not correct, is it? Ah, gold chest. We don't want sorting output going into the gold chest because there's no need for it to happen that way. So everything is going to go into these 4 barrels right now. Now those 4 barrels aren't going to be able to hold everything, but they don't really need to. Okay, let me show you why that is. I go into sorting. I'm going to first create a group node input. And I'm then going to create a group node for output, which I'll put over here. I'm not certain I will actually use it at any point, but I'd like to have it there just in case. And what I'm going to do is this actually only needs the one command inside of it. So this is honestly kind of, actually, you know what? This entire command group idea is silly here. Because I've established the variable, all I need to do is select an output command. And this output command needs to target inventories sorting output. That says sieve input, by the way. There will be more than one type of material eventually running through this sieve, so I want to be able to have a variable where I can say, hey, go get anything from any of these. And under multi-selection interaction, run command once per target. Awesome. And that's all you need to do. You can leave everything blacklisted, you can have the target the same, you can have the inventories. You've done everything you need to do already. I go back into crafting. I make certain that this output is hooked up to this node. I return here. I'm going to rename this output into barrel wall, because why not? And we're going to connect crafting to the barrel wall. Now, when I turn this on, the barrel wall gets filled up almost instantly. All of that stuff that was in here is now on the barrel wall. And anytime I want to add more barrels, all I need to do is put down the inventory cable to do so, put another barrel on there, which I don't have at the moment. Let me see if I can make one real quick. I think I'm all out of wood for it. I am. Here, let me get myself another barrel together and show you how easy it is to add something else into this. I will be back as soon as I have my barrel ready. Okie dokie, now that I have my barrel in hand, let's tack this on here. I'm going to first grab, Bone meal. Yeah, bone meal looks like the one. Put bone meal in there, lock it. Then I go back to the factory manager. I go into variables. I select sorting output. I select containers. And I add the new barrel, which I know to be 2 blocks and 4 cables away. And my bone meal's already in there and will never show up in this chest again. Simple as that. Awesome, isn't it? I am very happy with how easy it is to make this happen. And I'll add another one for, glowstone, redstone, fish, and eggs at some point in time. But right now is not that time, because there's something else really cool that we can do with this. But before that can happen, I need to extend this high oven to make it even taller, and actually I might even need to make some more bricks for it. So let me start working on the high oven and getting that ready for the next step of this process, and I shall return shortly. Actually, correction, I'm just about out of time here. I'm not going to have time to show you the high oven setup this time. That'll have to wait for next episode. Right now, however, I do have time to show you, because it won't take very long, the next step on the PneumaticCraft questing. Or, well, not exactly the next step, but an interesting side diversion that is absolutely worth doing. So you're going to want yourself a hopper. Oops, hang on. And you're going to want a couple of pressure tubes. And you're actually going to want a good bit more compressed iron than I have, as I only have 10 at the moment. Let me get more iron compressed, and I'll be back when that's ready. Okay, to make this quest happen, you're going to need 24 compressed iron, and actually you're going to need a little bit of gold as well. 8 to be precise. Step 1. Make yourself a couple of pressure gauges. Step 2. Levers. Hold, please. How about I count? That'd be good. Counting helps. And I know I have my wood in here. Boop. Boop, boop, boop. So with your levers, your pressure tubes, and your pressure gauges, you get safety valve tubes. Tube will release high pressure gases when a certain threshold is reached. Though it prevents overpressure, it can be counted as energy loss. So can be very useful to put these into your system. What we're going to do with it instead, though, is we're going to make 2 cannon barrels. And these cannon barrels, plus 2 compressed iron ingots each, and 6 blue plastic from the rain plant seeds, gives us pneumatic cylinders. 2 pneumatic cylinders with a hopper and 6 compressed iron ingots gets us our pressure chamber interface. That's simple. All you need is the resources, and when you are producing, what have I got here? About 63 ingots of iron ore, of iron so far. Oh, this stopped for some reason. There we go. Oh, you know what it is? I bet it's every time that you log out, this will stop. I'll test that next time. But yeah, plenty of resources. So now that that's complete, under pressure, losing air, I can collect my reward bag, my pneumatic servo, and my 4 opaque item ducts. There we are. Now, next on the primary quest line, we're going to need to complete exposure, but to do that, we need to put our empty PCB into a UV light box. The UV light box is actually rather expensive normally. I would need a PCB blueprint, which requires 8 emeralds around a compressed iron nugget. I don't know if that's a normal recipe or not, but those 8 emeralds are a little out of reach at the moment. Luckily, Iskandar has included the blueprint for success, with 1 compressed iron ingot, 1 emerald, 1 bit of plastic, and an etching acid bucket, which you can see the recipe for right here. Fairly simple to achieve. You can get your blueprint and an empty bucket, and this will be repeatable every 4 days. I'll get all of that set up off camera, and next time I will have myself the blueprint ready to continue this quest line. You will also find that my high oven will be quite a bit higher by that time. I expect to build it up to its maximum height of 8, and you'll see that you'll see what I'm going to do with that and my big plans for the high oven next time. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, let me know below. If you have not, tell me what you would rather see. And I will see you next time.